Hello everybody. My name is Kyle Miller and we are doing an update video on the damage and the closing of Hacienda Road for all of the La Habra Heights residents. It's a very important issue as we come up to the election. So I have with me to my left John Smith, who's an expert in road repair and maintenance. And we're just going to kind of go through and make sure all the residents have a real update and can make a wise choice, because I think hopefully at the end of this video you're going to realize that not all the information's out there, and I think we're going to do it a little better. So I'll go ahead and start. So let's start off, John, with why don't you give the La Habra Heights residents a little background on your experience and expertise in the road repair and maintenance.
My name is John Smith. I live in La Habra Heights for 40 years. I am a public works road contractor, currently very active in Southern California. I previously was a chairman of the road committee for 16 years, of 10 of which I was chairman. And I've had a lot of professional experience dealing with cities on a daily basis. And I currently have a contract with a company called Bear Valley Paving, and we're doing emergency road repair slides up at Big Bear. And so that's my experience.
Similar to this.
Similar to this,
Right,
yes.
right. So that's solid credentials. So just to be clear, do you have any financial interest in any of the repairs in La Habra Heights?
No, because I was on the road committee and for so many years, and I thought that it would be a conflict of interest if I bid the city jobs. So I've refrained from doing that, and I've made it very public that I don't do that.
Okay. So Councilmember Williams and Mayor Bergman are maintaining that they've done all they can as far as the road and where we've got to this far. Would you say that's accurate, or?
That's not accurate. I don't know what the politics are involved in it, but on a landslide or a road slippage, cities like La Habra, they had a slippage in the last year. They had a sinkhole, actually. Caltrans, normally they have in Malibu quite often. They have landslides. They have a procedure that they do, and they hire as an emergency basis contractors that give them an emergency bid, and they're working within a few weeks. Mind you, that sometimes the geologist or the engineer is on the job, which the city could have done if they wanted to, but they didn't do that. So I think as far as waiting meeting to meeting is just a stall tactic. It's a waste of time, right. And it's hurting the people up here.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. So what you're saying is, and you've seen almost every other city I can think of would have declared an emergency so that they could get started right away. And the fact is that La Habra Heights chose to go out to bid inexplicably. I haven't seen any other city do that, and that cost us 3 months right there. Which essentially what you're saying is unnecessary, and basically created 3 months more of a quality of life issue for the residents that are impacted.
Absolutely right. The quality of life is so affected by this road closure here. The people, some of them can't take the kids to school. The kids have to get up a half an hour early to go all around. The traffic on other streets is just horrible. So that's what it's all about. And to me, they haven't done what job they could have done. I've advised them on several issues on this. I came out here within a few days of after it occurred, after Channel 5 had it on the news, and they thought it was overblown, and I, to this day, think it was way overblown. But
right,
what
I have some questions on that. So I think we can say you worked with dozens of cities, and I worked for the senator during the day, so I worked for some surrounding cities. Do you think the council members and the mayor are treating the repair with the urgency that other cities would, or do you think differently?
Oh, I think differently. They don't. It's not an emergency to them. It's not an emergency at all. The city of La Habra, when they had their sinkhole this last year during the rain, same with this, they had the whole thing fixed within the 10 days. And so to wait for another council meeting to go by and then another council meeting to go by, it's uncalled for.
So the recent temporary fix that that the council voted on after 7 months of no repairs, you alluded earlier to, you had given the city, you saw the repair, it resembled another city they were working on. So the one that they voted on after 7 months of no repairs, does that resemble what you initially gave them?
Let me start from the beginning. When I saw this right here, I knew that this was a simple fix because I'm a professional in this business. And I gave that to city staff. What I did is I came back and I found out if there are any utilities in here that would disrupt an over excavation and putting the material back. And I found none. I worked with the water company. I found out the depth of the lines, the oil lines, done a lot of homework on it. And I gave all this information, and I actually drew a computerized plan and gave it to the city. And the city did nothing with it. But to answer your question directly, they're proposing right now, after they hired the second geologist, to do the same thing that I gave them the suggestion to do over 5 months ago.
And well, just for clarity, when did you give that? It was soon after the road failed, right? Within days.
It was in a week of after it failed. I came out here and I analyzed it and I looked at the slopes. It was during the rainy season, and I made a determination. And then when I saw the first geology report, I knew that we didn't have a big problem at all. And it was a simple, but I couldn't convince staff to run with it. And I presented it at a council meeting, and it went nowhere. It went nowhere. It was under $200,000. It was you could do it in 2 weeks. You would have to have the road closed for maybe 3 or 4 days, and that's it.
Right.
And that's what they come up with right now.
And
7 months later.
yet 7 months later, they're
right.
almost doing the exact same thing. So just to be crystal clear, John gave the solution that they're now going forward with 7 months later, a week after the road closed. And you're saying that had they taken that then, the time of repair would have been maybe a week or two beyond that.
They could have I recommended several contractors, public works contractors, competitors of mine. And that even the contractor that is low bidder on the current the paving job, they're capable of doing it. Most road contractors can do this. It's a simple fix. It's not some big Taj Mahal that needs to get done. It's simple.
It certainly doesn't need. It's something that any capable contractor could do. So this idea that you needed to go out to bid and get an expert because it's so specialized doesn't hold water.
It's nonsense. Yeah. I don't know of another better word. Nonsense.
Well, Council Member, this leads me into my next question. So Council Member Williams and Mayor Bergman, they often tout drawing upon the experience of our residents, such as yourself, to help solve our problems. With all that's gone on, do you think that that's sincere, or would you say it's kind of lip service, being what happened to you?
Well, let me answer that directly in a minute. Okay. But they actually do have, and they do a good job at getting professional people within the city to do volunteer and do things. Road committee, one of them, finance committee, things like that. But now we're talking about this issue. And this issue, they asked me, and after a while I felt, well, they don't want any more of my advice. They have a different agenda on this. And what that is to me just simple politics. So I think that overall they do a good job at that, but on this issue right here, they have not done a good job on that.
Thanks, John. So there's also, that's phase one that we're talking about. So there's also a phase two that's being proposed. And that's being considered at a price of about $2, maybe $3 million. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that phase two is even necessary?
I don't, because I remember building the one 300 feet from here, where they did all the soil nailing, tiebacks. The roads were closed for 3 months.
Retaining wall.
Yeah, the retaining wall. It wasn't necessary to do all that. All it needed to be done was exactly what is proposed by the geologists right here. But they chose to get other money from different agencies and build that. They put more curves in the road. And what happens is if they have to do the same thing right here, I don't know where they would do it. I haven't seen the plans. And how they come up with a $2 or $3 million estimate to do something like this without seeing the plans, is just, I don't understand that. You have to see plans. You have to get a professional estimate to give that to you. And plans haven't even been drawn. I don't know where they're at.
There's been a lot of that in terms of pricing and just pulling times. Right when this happened, it's like somewhere out of the wind they pulled. It's going to take a year to fix it, and I don't know where they really came from that. I mean, that's just my observation. Without any information, I don't know how you could really be informing your residents on such an important issue without having any data.
Well, I originally gave them a temporary fix that I firmly believed was a permanent fix.
Yeah, similar to the one they're doing now.
And if they wanted some kind of slope repair or tiebacks or retaining walls, whatever like that, I certainly didn't see that here. And I don't know, I think it's back to politics again, and it's totally unnecessary. And let me see the plans first. I'll evaluate them, and as I always do,
Right.
and I can make a decision on that. But if it was my money, I wouldn't spend that money on it.
Well, speaking about money and speaking about politics, there are reports. I've heard them, you've heard them, that Mayor Bergman, supported by Councilmember Williams, will authorize and spend maybe $2 to $3 million to do phase 2. And the reports are just to justify the road being closed for a year or longer. What do you think about that? Do you think politics are extending that far? That's kind of what I've heard, and I know you've kind of heard that around town too.
I've heard that also, and I don't know what to think on that issue. But to me, I think they should have egg on their face by what's happened so far on this, and to come up with and try to justify that do we need all this $2 million or $3 million in retaining walls and tiebacks or soil nailing is, to me, is just way out of bounds. And I think that I'm going to be very vocal when I see a proposal that they come with, and it's going to close this road down again, and we're back to square one. And I don't think it's going to fly.
Well, I would agree with you too, because we're at 7 months, and I'm running for the open seat on city council, and so I'm walking every day for almost a month, and everybody north of this is not being informed as you are. Everybody on East Road, where the cut-through traffic is going, they're up in arms. It's really a quality of life issue, and I'm just astounded at the lack of sense of urgency. And working with a senator during the day, all of the cities I deal with, it's the same situation. They would never let such a major issue in the city languish for this long. So let me ask you this, John. So with your vast experience working with cities, many cities, dozens, do you think the road closure repair in La Habra Heights, would you say, in short, it's been mishandled by city council of their own making?
You know what, Kyle, that's a great word to use, mishandled. There are other reasons that I could only speculate on why they're doing this, and it's something that could have been fixed so easily, and the laws provide for emergency situations, to hire emergency contractors, to get a contractor without going for formal bid and go through the bid process. Caltrans wouldn't think of doing anything like that. The city of La Habra didn't do anything like that. There's sinkholes in cities all around. It happens. They just happen, and they're not handled that way. So your word mishandled is a correct word.
Well, I would agree, and I will say that council members aren't expected to be experts at roads or know everything about every single city issue, but they're expected to be proactive and responsive. And that's where I think it's really failed the most. You can bring in expertise, and if you do feel like we have a lot of expertise in the city, then you should draw upon it, because I mean, it's really your biggest role as a council member is either maintain or improve the quality of life for residents. And people are suffering. I mean, I know you and me can agree that some people don't mind it for the moment because of the traffic, but just as a side note, the city's not doing anything to mitigate the traffic while we have a empty road, putting in some traffic calming measures. So that's just another area where they're not being proactive. So that's my side note. But so let me finish with this, because this is kind of why we're doing the video. Do you think the residents are being sufficiently informed in real time and getting the whole story regarding the progress of repairs and the decisions are being made?
Some of them are. There are occasionally signs up here when they're going to have a meeting, but it's just affecting this little area right here, the people that are affected most. I don't know that they've sent out a city mailer or let everyone know about this, or even people outside of our city. I don't know what they've done about that. But the gate that they have down there, to me, is a crime. I have my car down there. I see signs down there. And you know, even as I go down there in the morning and the evening, I meet new neighbors all the time down there that have their car down there. You see cars making a U-turn because coming southbound from Hacienda Road, the signs are very inadequate and people don't know, and they come out here and they're all ticked off and they want to ram the gate. And you know, a few of those things have happened that way. But to answer your question directly, I think the city could have done a better job of it with mailers to all the people in the city, not just put them up around Hacienda Boulevard or let the people know. And I think they've named about 4 or 5 streets that they let all these people know just by signs. That was inadequate.
Yeah.
So I mean, they need to get everybody involved. Everybody's affected by this.
Yeah, it's kind of you're right. It's kind of an indication of not realizing just what magnitude this problem is. This isn't, you know, changing a sign at the park. This is it's one of the major things that's happened in the last decade for the city. So I agree with you. I think a mailer to everyone, popping something in your water bill so that everybody gets it. Just make sure you have the feeling of everyone, not just reacting to the few that might have the time to go down and complain. Because as I go around town and talking to people, number one on people's mind, and truly for the vast majority, are getting it from one monthly update from the mayor's column in the Heights Life, and it shouldn't be that way. We should be able to do better, especially on such an important issue like this. So that's kind of the purpose why I wanted to bring you to the scene of the crime, if you will, and just talk facts and have it not coming from me, but a real expert like yourself. So this is our update. We may do another one, but I wanted to just put this out there. If you want to get more information, you can go to a Facebook page, Kyle for La Habra Heights Council.com. My email is kyle.steven.miller@gmail. I'd be happy to talk to you. I just really think that this was mishandled, and when you look a little further, it's kind of an approach to governing that we might have to think about changing. And make sure you vote on November 5th, and perhaps we can change this approach to these problems that we're having. So thank you very much.
Thank you.